Nursing union Dinosa is demanding an overhaul of the management structure in Gauteng's health department. That's as its members say they have not been paid by the department for community service programs. Moloko Moloto is tracking this story for us. Moloko, very similar information coming out there from the Gauteng health department that nurses have not been paid, similar to the story we had just been covering there in the Free State, where municipal workers have not been paid their salaries. A lot of people facing high cost of living, fuel price increases, food price increases, and we're all struggling, and I can't imagine what it must be like to do that with absolutely no income coming in. Tell us how nurses in Gauteng are coping.
Well, Anli, just a short while ago, we were in a media briefing by the nurses union Dinosa, which was telling us that there's a group of nurses. These are nurses who are doing mandatory community services. Essentially, they completed their 4-year qualification or training, which was paid for by the provincial Gauteng department, and it's mandatory for them to complete this 1-year community services. Now, they are saying that this provincial government hasn't paid those nurses for 3 months. We are told that the number is just over 700. But of course, on Thursday, apparently after 3 months, the province paid. However, there's still about 70 or so who have not been paid. Despite that, the union is unhappy. They are saying heads must roll. There must be a change, particularly at the senior management of the provincial health department. Now, there's another issue here. Those who have managed to complete their mandatory 1-year community service, there are expectations. In fact, we are told by Dinosa that in terms of the contract, after completing the ComServe, they must work for the provincial health department for about 3 years before they can even be allowed to go elsewhere, whether in the private sector or even overseas. So that group as well of about 800 people, Dinosa says they are facing possible retrenchments. And we obviously know, as you said, we are living in hard times. These are people who continue to provide a service in the case of the current ComServes, and they do not get salaries. Let me speak to Sechaba Mukwena. He is one of those who are affected. Sechaba, tell us about how you guys, your colleagues, survive without salaries when you are expected to provide this essential service.
Moloko, you can only imagine. Just imagine 1 month without your salary. Your life goes upside down. You can't pay for your rent, your landlord chases you out, you're expected to go to work, you require transport, petrol is expensive, public transport is now also becoming expensive, you're expected to be clean when you get to work, you don't have money to buy toiletries, you're supposed to eat when you're at work so that you can provide proper services. So it's really hard. If anything, people are getting deeper and deeper into debt.
Yeah. And the difficult thing here, Sechaba, is that as a trainee, you are compelled to serve this community service for a year. Yeah. And if you want to get out of this contract, the department will penalize you. Yet, when you are serving this community mandatory ComServe, you don't get paid.
Yes, that's where a Catch-22 situation is here. We have, I can blatantly put it, we have a Department of Health that is led by crooks, that is led by liars, because what happened is when we saw this problem starting out of people not getting paid, people not getting appointed permanently, people not being properly moved from student to ComServe, we then as Dinosa approached the department and say, okay, there's this problem. How do we then solve it without affecting a lot of people? The HOD at the time created what they called a task team. It comprised of us as Dinosa, as well as them as management, which they had all the departments, your finance, your quality assurance, nursing directorate. We sat down, we came up with solutions. We went into the PESAL system because the claim at first was that we do not have posts, so we don't know where to place these people. So with the task team, we were given the powers to look for these posts within the system. Funny thing is, we found all the posts. Yeah, some were unfunded, meaning they didn't have funds in them, but majority of them, they could contain everybody at the time at the system. So then we came up with, say, okay, to avoid this situation, how do we then move going forward? They said, okay, we're going to use those posts.
Okay.
Yeah.
I understand that your colleagues, you continue to provide the services, even though at times some of your colleagues who don't have money don't go to work. But also, as DINOSA, you have said you are going to embark on demonstrations. Tell us about that.
Yes, we like I said, we've sat with them, I think for like a month or so, coming up with solutions, and then instead of them implementing, they'll come back to us with lies. And then there's just one person in that department who never attends any meeting, never adheres when they are called by the organized labor, which is the CFO. She just came and said, I don't have money, which is a blatant lie. We know there is money. We were not asking money from her. We were asking for activation of these posts. So now that we are done talking, as soon as tomorrow in Amlogo, we will then announce our plan of action going forward. But like I said, we are done with the boardroom. We are done talking to the department because they seem to want to listen to what they want to hear, which is retrenchment of nurses, which is something that we are totally against.
Okay, finally, if the department were to say it has to let go of this nurses because it doesn't have money, you don't think that would make sense?
It wouldn't make sense. We know there is money. That's why, like, I myself was part of the task team. I saw the money there. I saw the post that we are saying should be utilized. So they can't come back and say we do not have money. And besides, if they are saying that, it means they are saying the province must suffer health-wise, because as it stands right now, we have one nurse doing a job of 6 nurses, which is uncalled for.
All right, Sechaba. Well, only that is the difficulty there, because nurses now are threatening to down tools, and as they were telling us earlier, the difficulty that they are faced with is that there are countries such as the UK which continue to poach nurses here. So those who are remaining here, they feel that they are not being taken seriously. Working conditions, they say, are not conducive, and they say the government continues to retrench the little few who remains in the system. And at the end, of course, it would be ordinary people whose only option is public health care who will suffer.
Moloko, before I let you go, healthcare is, of course, an essential service. We've recently seen an illegal, unprotected strike at Eskom, which is also an essential service. Would a strike by DINOSA members be an unprotected, illegal strike? And what are they looking to do to protect their members in that instance?
Well, that question indeed was posed to the provincial chairperson of DINOSA, Mr. Simpiwe Gada, and he said during their demonstrations they will make sure the people of Gauteng in particular should not worry. This essential service will continue to be provided. But Henley, we have been here before. And for instance, unions would say there's not going to be violence, and when there's violence, they would say it wasn't our members. I guess at the end of the day, it would be, we'll wait to see whether the provincial government itself, now that there are these threats of these demonstrations, whether the provincial government will allow the situation to deteriorate to that level. Because should it get to that level, surely it is the ordinary people who rely on that local clinic who will feel the heat.
Thank you so much, Moloko Molota, bringing us that story as DINOSA members threaten to down tools over unpaid wages.